Right, today we go on with our study of Sutta Discovery, Volume 43, Chapter 10, Paṭilīna Sutta. So this is a very short sutta title because the word Paṭilīna is quite rare in the titles. Paṭilīna means the withdrawn. There are many ways of translating this word Paṭilīna, but I will explain why I chose to translate this word as withdrawn in a moment. Yeah? The discourse on the withdrawn. That is one who is withdrawn. A 4.38, Commentaries, kāya, the book of 4, Sutta number 38. The theme is the qualities of a true dhyana meditator. Okay, there you are. You have a clue to the translation of the word Paṭilīna. Now, of course, when we mention the word withdrawn in English, we often think of someone who is withdrawn from society, who keeps away from people and so on. Well, that's one meaning. But there are other meanings. So here, when we translate Buddhist suttas, we have to use words in a new way because the language of meditation, the language of mindfulness, the language of the Dharma sometimes or very often is very different from the way we talk in daily life. Because in the Buddha's teaching, we talk about peace of body, peace of mind, and then total peace. Right? So it's a very different kind of language. So this is where, in a sense, it's better for us to use normal words which people understand, and then we explain the meaning of these words. In other words, we, in a sense, redefine or focus these everyday words. That way, people are more familiar with the term, and from there they go on to deeper teachings. So that's the advantage using simple translation like withdrawn. So always remember, when you read sutta translation especially, never take it on the word level. Find out what's the meaning of this word, what is the context of this word or phrase or paragraph, sentence, and then ask yourself, what does it mean? How do I apply this? And so on. Okay? So here, Paṭilīna or withdrawn refers to the meditator, one who's deep in meditation, especially jhana. Because when you're in that level, you are withdrawn from the world, you withdraw from the world, you retreat from the world. In fact, when we go for meditation practice, we say we go for a retreat, right? But here retreat is used in a good sense in meditation. Because in the army, the meaning is bad, you retreat, it means you're losing the battle. But here we are winning the battle, so we retreat to win the battle. Retreat from what? Retreat from the world. What does the world mean? Here again, very often people misunderstand when we say the world means what? To give up friends and families. Not at all. Here, world has the meaning of our senses, our 5 physical senses and the mind. That's the world. It's because all that we can know are what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch, and what we think. That's our world. Now beyond these 5 senses, there's no other world. So that's the world we are withdrawing from. What does it mean, withdrawing from the world? It means, firstly, we let go of the body. Again here, what does the body mean? We cannot, again, take it too literally. The body is just arms and legs and so on. That's the way the world sees the body. Here, again, the word world means other people, right? So here, body means eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, the 5 physical senses. What does it mean? What does it mean to withdraw from the body? That means we let them go. We're not troubled by the physical senses, by what we see, hear, smell, taste or touch. We also let go of our thoughts. Right? So that's letting go of the body, in other words. So why do we need to let go of the body? Well, because we have to process all these senses, in other words. We have to process what we hear, smell, taste, touch, and so on. Right? So it's a lot of work to do, so to speak. We easily get distracted. So we want to just give a rest to these five senses, so to speak. It's like we are switching off for 5 of our phones, we just leave one on, that is the mind, okay? But even then, this last phone, we only watch the thoughts that come and go. We don't get involved with the thoughts. We don't get carried away with the thoughts. We are the observer, watching, right? So slowly we withdraw even from the thoughts. That's the last frontier in meditation, if you like. And we withdraw from the mind itself by watching the breath. At first, the breath is the body. It's called body or bodily formations, right? Bodily formation, that's the breath. Because the breath is an activity of the body at first in meditation. Then as you watch the breath, you become more and more peaceful. You and the breath become one, so to speak. In other words, you feel the peace of the breath. Why is it you don't feel peace? Because you have to chase after the breath. And the breath runs here, runs there. Your mind sometimes forgets the breath, it goes here, it goes there. So there is this distance, this alienation, if you like. But as you focus, then the mind and the breath become one, so to speak. You become focused. Just like in there's this old camera, you got twin focus, bifocal. Then the two pictures kind of combine into one, then you know it's focused. Once the mind is focused, it is peaceful. That's when the breath is no more bodily, the breath is no more physical, the breath becomes mental, it's a mental experience. Then you truly feel peaceful. When the breath becomes more and more peaceful, then you get jhana. Right? So this is a very simple way of explaining jhana. So notice here we are gradually withdrawing first from the body, then the mind, and thoughts, and then we gain very deep peace, which is called jhana. So that's one important meaning of the word withdrawn. But here in this sutta, the word withdrawn also refers to the arahat, the one who's totally withdrawn from the world because he has peace of mind. It also means that when you are totally withdrawn from the world, you are at peace, and that's when you can really help the world, so to speak. In other words, you're not caught up with the world. You no more think like the world. You're wiser, you have skills of the mind, you have peace, and you're able to help the world. Okay? So in other words, it's just like a doctor or a specialist. Now, he is trained in human health, and is able to diagnose diseases, is able to heal people. He doesn't look at our body like the way we do, because this doctor, this specialist, he knows how the body functions, knows how diseases arise, how it can be treated, and so on. So there is very deep knowledge. They're able to help us in that way. So to be withdrawn from the world here means this arahat is able to understand life as it is fully, able to help us get out of our suffering. And of course, this withdrawal process is gradual, is progressive, right? In fact, on your first page you can see there are 3 kinds of solitude. You can see the big words in the second paragraph, 3 kinds of solitude. Here again is a summary of what I've just said. This is from the commentary, I think, but occasionally you do find these teachings mentioned directly in the suttas. First, there is solitude of the body. Right? If you want to really be at peace, you've got to learn to keep your body by itself, so to speak. Right? Keeping the precepts is a good example of withdrawal of the body. What does that mean? That means we withdraw the body. Body meaning here's body and speech. Right? Body, what we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and also our speech. Right? So we withdraw this from negative situations. In other words, we try not to express ourselves through the senses or experience sense objects which are rooted in greed, hatred, or delusion. Okay. The problem here is delusion is somehow always there when we are not awakened. But if you are mindful, it's not too bad. Right? We deal with delusion on the level of arahathood. But even as a simple lay person, lay practitioner, we still have some delusion, but we keep it to a minimum so that it doesn't trouble us in our daily life at least. So keeping the solitude of the body means practicing moral virtue, keeping the precepts. That might be called moral solitude or ethical solitude if you like. And then of course if you want to be happy, you remember the Mangala Sutta, on the first blessing is to live in a suitable place. Patirupa desa vasocha. If you live in a suitable place, in other words, a good neighborhood, a safe neighborhood, or a good country, a good place, then you're able to practice the Dharma better, right? Of course, not everybody is fortunate enough to always get the exact kind of place they want, but definitely you can keep your house a safe place, a kind of a Dharma-spirited environment. So this is another meaning of withdrawal. In other words, you live in a place which is suitable for personal development, for spiritual development, you are safe, and you can be calm and happy. Right? Then, if you want to meditate, you withdraw to a quiet place, a peaceful place, maybe a beautiful garden, or some kind of a retreat place. Right? So that is withdrawal of the body. In other words, looking around for a quiet, maybe spacious place so that you can meditate. So these are all sort of a physical kind of withdrawal, the solitude of the body, or kāya viveka as the Pali word is. So once you are in that kind of ideal place, I mean, you can be at home even, let's say certain times of the day your house is quiet, right? Say early morning, late at night, and you live on a very high story. Let's say you live on the 50th floor, that's really quite peaceful, unless it's a thunderstorm. But even with a thunderstorm, it's not that bad. I mean, natural sounds actually does not really trouble us so much when we meditate. So once you have that good environment, that ideal environment even, then you start your solitude of the mind, citta viveka. And this was very important. You often find this word citta viveka being used. There are some Buddhist centers that even use the word citta viveka. Actually, it's about meditation. Now your mind has to withdraw from getting involved with the world, from processing data from the eye, nose, tongue, body, and finally even the mind. It's not that these things are bad. The world is neutral. It's just that it's like we want to overhaul our car. You got to switch off the motor. You want to repair your electrical gadget. You got to turn off the electricity. Right? So we just switch it off just for a while. It's like we are taking a break from the world. So we kind of shut down the five senses, or even the mind at the right time, for a while, so that we can focus on mental development. Right? We let go of the five mental hindrances, the most important of which is sensual desire. And sensual desire is another way of talking about being distracted by the senses, right? Because sensual desire arises from what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch. So we live a simple life. We cut down on food. We don't watch TV shows during meditation or retreat. We don't need to hear music either, because we just want to get peace within ourselves. So we don't need any external stimulation. So this is where we look at the mind just as it is, letting go of all the other things that the mind has to deal with. So when the mind is really free from all these external stimulations, then we can say the mind is in solitude of the mind, citta viveka, or you can call it spiritual solitude, mental solitude. So that is deep meditation already. Okay. So when the body, there is solitude of body, solitude of mind, and you go on practicing this way, ultimately you will gain what is called solitude from the substrates, upadi viveka. This is the goal of the highest goal in Buddhism, if you like. The substrates, very simply, are those things that cause us to be reborn. Substrates are underlying strata, layers like latent tendencies. But these are more powerful than latent tendencies, right? They are this like ignorance, they are this energy, if you like, this karma, if you like, that keeps us suffering, that keeps us being reborn and so on. And you've got to let go of them completely, especially craving and ignorance. And this is on the arahat level, total liberation from the world. So these substrates it's a very big term, very ancient term. And the removal of the substrates means this person is already awakened. But even if we have not reached that level, as lay people meditating, or as unawakened monks, we can still attain peace of mind by simple meditation, doing loving kindness even, or simple breath meditation. That peace we get is never lost. We will never be attached to such a peace, because it makes us happy. And the memory of it also makes us happy. Right? So we don't need to be attached to such happiness, because just the mere thought of them, we think of the peace that we feel during meditation, or even the happiness we feel, let's say coming here for a Dharma talk like this, or when we read the sutta ourselves at home, or when we bow down before Buddha shrine. As we bow down, we are mindful, we don't think about other things, we feel at peace. When we remember such a peace, we feel happy. There's nothing to be attached to that. It's just like you are in a beautiful garden, you don't get attached to the garden, you are there, you see this beautiful garden, you smell the flowers, you feel the fresh air, you enjoy the space, or you see the sunset. You can get attached to the sunset, you got to see the sunset right there as it is happening. The sunset is an event. Even if you take a photograph of it, it's just a moment. I mean, yeah, of course you can use that to help you remember the sunset. But what really makes you happy is not really the photograph, it's your memory of that wonderful event. So we must treasure that happy memory in that sense. And this is what will keep our life constantly happy no matter what happens. Now, so let us go into the suttas now, the sutta itself, because it's quite a simple sutta. The words are simple, but the teaching is quite deep. I think it's page 152, is it? There are two suttas which are related to this main sutta we're going to learn. It's called the Esana Sutta. Esana means seeking. The first one is called Paṭilīna Sutta. Can you see the word Paṭilīna Esana?
Yes.
Okay. So Paṭilīna means first, Esana, seeking, sutta, discourse. The first sutta or first discourse on seeking, I think we have to change to discourse better. Just make a note there. And this is from the Iti Vuttaka. Okay, it's one of the collection of short suttas recorded by it's a laywoman, by the way. She's a hunchback. This teachings from the Buddha is called Iti Vuttaka, thus heard. And the theme here is one who is awakened understands all about seeking. So this another theme, important theme of this sutta is seeking. We are all seeking for something, right? Especially as Buddhists, we are seeking for inner peace, for awakening, if you like. But sometimes the seeking can lead us astray because we somehow get lost. This happens, right? But what do we do when we get lost? We keep on moving, right? But in a sense, we can take the Dharma like Singapore, it's an island. So even if you are lost, as long as you go on moving, you won't get lost. And you don't get off the island. And the Dharma is like an island. Okay? So as long as you keep on moving, you keep on seeking, you will come back to the right track. Right? It's just that you may take a little longer. But it's okay, we have the time. Important thing is don't get off the island. If you get off the island, then you are really lost. So this sutta is very short. Let me just start with it. Oh yeah, it's IT or Iti Vuttaka 3.1.5. 3.1.5. That's the traditional number. The the modern number is IT 54, Piya Sutta 54. This was said by the Blessed One, spoken by the Arhat as heard by me. Here me is Kuchutara. Uttara, the hunchback. It's a woman, by the way. She has been listening to the suttas and she goes back to the palace and relate what she hears to Queen Samavati and the 500 handmaidens. Bhikshus, there are these three kinds of seeking. What are the three? Seeking for sensual pleasures, seeking for existences, seeking of the holy life. Okay? Now here, seeking for existences, of course, is a sensual pleasures is a worldly kind of enterprise. People in the world always looking for nice things to see, nice things to smell, nice things to eat, nice things to enjoy, and so on, right? What's wrong with this sort of seeking? Well, even Buddhists, we can seek these things, but we have to understand that they are impermanent, the very first rule. Number two is we must know when to stop. If you understand the nature of impermanence of all these sensual pleasures and you know when to stop, you are safe. Then you are a layman practitioner who are called karma bodhini, those who enjoy sensual pleasures. In other words, within the limit of the 5 precepts. These are like married people who are Buddhist workers, or married people who are good Buddhists, right? Or even if they're not married, but they are Buddhists, right? But they understand the 5 precepts. They enjoy sports, they are businessmen, they're making money, and so on. In other words, they are active in the world, but they keep to the 5 precepts. So this is, you might say, the main group of Buddhists. Then you have those who celibate, right? Maybe they decide to keep the celibacy rule, but they're still lay people. And then you have male, female for each of these. You have 4 types of practitioners. And then you have the monks and the nuns, male, female, right? So these are the different kinds of practitioners. So now, number 2, those seeking for existences. This is, of course, a wrong view, especially meditators who don't understand the Dharma, they don't know Buddha's teaching. They get into deep meditation and say, wow, this is beautiful, this is like heaven, so I want to go to heaven, I want to continue living in this beautiful place called heaven, and so on. Of course, in Buddhism we say you have the form world, the formless world. These are different ways of talking about the kinds of heaven that can exist in meditation. But again, all these states are impermanent, so if you get caught up with them, and when the karma that supports us there ends, we fall from that state. In fact, in all these higher states, the word for death is chuti or chawati. It means to fall, right? Whereas on earth, the term used is kalang karoti, done our time, okay? Or simply to die, in other words. But in the heavens, the word used is they fall, meaning when the karma ends, they fall into suffering states, even to one of the 4 subhuman states, to the animal world, or the preta world, the asura world, or the hell states even. Right? So heaven is not necessarily a good place, it's just temporary. But if you have attained certain levels of sainthood, then you never fall below the human plane. The human plane is safe because you are able to practice the Dharma, in other words. So then number 3, seeking the holy life, seeking of the holy life. Sometimes often enough we get people who say become monks or nuns or turn to religion, simply to go on seeking the truth and maybe arguing about the truth instead of really practicing it, in other words. So in other words, there's more talk rather than practice. It's more philosophy rather than wisdom, in other words. So here again, something that the Buddha discourages. In other words, when we take up the holy life, whether as a layperson or as a monk, our aim is to let go of views as much as we can, right? The saying, don't think too much, makes good sense here. In other words, thoughts come to us, you just say, okay, it's just a thought, I'm letting it go. Right? That way we won't be troubled by worrying and all kinds of thoughts, right? But we deal with what is right before us. Of course, memories help. Planning ahead does help for lay people. But despite all our planning, when the future comes, you find you'll be doing something different anyway, right? So we got to have that kind of broad wisdom. Right, so these bhikshus are the three kinds of seeking. The Blessed One spoke on this matter, and then he said, Samahito sampajano satos buddhasa savako esana cha pajanati esana nancha sambhavan. Mentally skilled, fully aware, mindful is the Buddha's disciple, and he understands seekings and the birth of seekings. Yatha ceta nirujjanti magancha kaya gamina esana nang kaya bhikkhu nichato parinibhutto ti. It is correct, it should be T. And where they end, and the way to their destruction. Having destroyed seekings, a monk is hunger-free, fully cool. So this is a summary of the teaching given in verse. Okay? So in other words, someone who understands the nature of seeking and has found the answer, he doesn't need to seek anymore, he's truly at peace with himself. This too is a matter spoken by the Blessed One, this was heard by me. Okay? So this is the first sutta. The second one also very similar, and you find the three seekings are also mentioned, like Dutiya Esana Sutta, IT 55, right?
Yes.
Yes. So same thing, the three seekings are mentioned, seeking for sensual pleasure, seeking for existences, seeking of the holy life. Here the Buddha gives the different verses. Kame sana bhave sana brahmacharye sana saha iti sacha paramaso diti dhana samusaya. Seeking sense pleasures, seeking existences, along with the seeking the holy life, the attachment to the idea, this is truth. Viewpoints are the body. Okay, here's a summary of the teaching, right? So here the verse says, these are the three seekings. And people like to say, oh, this is all there is. This is the only thing that is true, right? You find sometimes I hear your friends say, oh, to live life is to enjoy it, right? So this is what I do, My life is whatever they like to do. And then in religion also, people may say, oh, this is the only way, everything else is wrong. So the Buddha says, then you are attached. Viewpoints are the body. Again here, what does the body mean? The five senses, the six senses. So once you understand your body means the five or the six senses, oh yes, now I understand how viewpoints are formed. Views arise through the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. That's the body. Okay. Here, of course, the mind is the one that makes use of the physical senses. So in that sense, views are based on the body, through what we see in five ways. Especially the feelings that arise through the five senses. All opinions, all religion arise from feeling. This is the essence of the Brahmajala Sutta, the very first discourse in the Sutta series, if you remember. Sabba raga viratassa tanhakkhaya vimuttino esana Paṭilīna Sutta dittithana samuhata. For one who has rejected all lust, liberated with the destruction of influences, seekings have been forsaken, viewpoints uprooted. So here's the Arhat. Arhat has overcome all desires. So it's not troubled anymore by anything coming through the senses. So all viewpoints have been given up. Sawe santo sato bhikkhu pasado aparajito manabi samaya buddho Paṭilīno ti uccati ti. He is truly a monk at peace, mindful, faith-inspiring, invincible. Having broken through conceit, he is awakened. He is called withdrawn. So here you see a definition of the word withdrawn. So here, in other words, it's a renunciant, someone who's given up the world, but he's totally at peace with himself, he inspires faith. When you look at him, he's so peaceful. So it's not what the monks say, it's more what he really is. Just like the way the Asaji presents himself to Sariputta. You see, he's so peaceful. So when you go for a Dharma talk, for example, the first thing you should watch out is the speaker peaceful? Does he give you a sense of peace? If he does, it doesn't really matter what he says. I mean, of course, he will be saying things which are related to the Dharma. And when you listen to this kind of person, you feel peaceful yourself. When I met Ajahn Sumedho many decades ago, when I was a young monk, in my early 20s, I sat with him for 2 hours in section 5 of Once Again. In a monastic style, your legs, push backwards. I remember sitting for 2 hours just listening to him talk about just the Vinaya, not even Dharma. I was talking about the Vinaya. And I remember feeling very peaceful. He's one of the most peaceful monks I've met. I don't remember a word he says. I know it's Vinaya, but I remember it was a very peaceful experience. And I tell you, that is what listening to the Dharma is about. You cannot say in words, in other words. So, the sutta closes with the verse closes with 2 lines. Esananang kāya bhikkhu niraso akatang kati. Through having destroyed seeking, he is a monk, hunger-free, a speaker free from doubts. So here, the monk has given up seeking. He has nothing more to look for. He has found the answer, the peace of mind. Hunger-free. He doesn't need to take any more food in the sense, he doesn't need any more pleasure from the world. He doesn't need more knowledge from the world, so to speak. So whatever he says is natural, inspiring. Okay? So this is the second sutta, right? There are many other suttas related to this idea of withdrawn, and the list is given there in case you'd like to do some research. Next page. Now we come to the main sutta, the discourse on the withdrawn, A 4.38. Here again, the sutta starts off with mentioning the 3 kinds of seekings. Okay? You all got the paging? 154.
154.
Okay. Bhikshus, a monk who has put aside personal truth, completely given up seeking and still bodily formation or bodily activity, is called one who is withdrawn. Right? So here you notice it's slightly different from the Esana Sutta 1 and 2. Esana Sutta 1 and 2 just lists the 3 seekings, but this sutta says the monk who has given up all these 3, he is called one who is withdrawn. And at the end of the sutta, a very good idea what kind of monk that is as the Arhat. Then the sutta goes on to explain each of these terms. 1.2, and how bhikshu is among one who has put aside personal truth. Notice here, personal truth, or we can also translate as private truth. In a sense, you might say a wrong view is a private truth. Right? Now, in a sense, what I'm telling you now are opinions also. One reason is because I'm not awakened. Second reason, you are not awakened. I assume you're not awakened. So we try our best to understand what is being spoken through the spirit of the Dharma, that things are impermanent, suffering, not so. Okay? So here, there's still personal truth, but they're not really bad because we do not think of great hate or delusion. But if we persist on a certain idea, for example, we say, oh, there are the arahats are not really awakened yet, they still need to become Buddhas, like in the Lotus Sutra, then you can have a very serious problem. It's a very serious wrong view to say that arahats still need to become Buddhas. So there's nowhere at all in the early Buddhist texts is this ever mentioned. These are later ideas by sectarian groups of people who wrote their own sutras, to promote their own group. In fact, we know this very well because in chapter 3 of the Lotus Sutra, there is a curse saying that anyone who attacks the Lotus Sutra or people who practice Lotus Sutra will go to hell. And here again, We don't see this kind of curse anywhere in the early suttas. Right? So it is very strange to have this kind of idea. It's based on ill will, isn't it? It's because early Buddhism talks about compassion, about the four Brahma Viharas, loving kindness, compassion, gladness, and equanimity. So this kind of curse has no place in Buddhism. So this shows very clearly there are some things we need to avoid, although it's labeled Buddhist. So here, these are private truths, these are personal truths. They are not the universal truth. Right? For example, if I say, I believe that this is true. Let's say, I believe that if you, let's say, eat a certain food, you feel healthy. It's just a personal opinion. It's not a universal truth, right? Because universal truth means everyone experiences it. For example, if you say the world is impermanent, it's a universal truth. Whether you're a Buddhist or not, you will agree. So that's the meaning, yeah? Another meaning of personal truth also is that it's only sense-based, even if it is a scientific truth, because it is based on the senses. Whereas meditation is not based on the senses. It goes beyond the senses. That's why we cannot really measure it, even scientifically. So in that sense, it's a higher truth. It's a truth of seeing directly into reality. Those who study quantum physics, for example, understand this kind of talk better. That when you see things directly, you find it's very hard to describe these things. Right? So it's no more a personal truth. So here the sutta goes on to define, or the Buddha goes on to define, who is this person who has set aside personal truth or private truth. Here bhikshus, whatever for a monk who are worldly personal truth, or worldly reclusives or Brahmins, that's to say the world is eternal or the world is not eternal, the world is finite or infinite. Right? So these are different views about the world. The world in terms of time, the world in terms of space. And then brackets 5, the self is the same as the body, the self and the body are separate. Right? The ideas about the self, the soul. We have discussed this in another talk about the 10 wrong views. The Tathagata here refers to the saint in general in different religions. The Tathagata, one does come exist after death, or the Tathagata does not exist after death, or the Tathagata both exist and does not exist after death, or Tathagata neither exists nor not exist after death. So again, these are speculations. Do we exist after death? Do we not exist? Do we both exist and not exist? Or neither exist nor exist? The Buddha said, don't worry about all this. There's no answer to this. So all these views are abandoned by the one who is withdrawn. So notice the meaning of withdrawn. We withdraw from all this speculative thinking. All these he has put aside, pushed aside, given them up, discarded, abandoned, relinquished. Bhikshu, such a monk is one who has put aside personal truth. Right, so that's the first kind of person. Now then the second kind of person. And how bhikshus is among one who has completely given up seeking. Here bhikshus, for that monk, seeking of sensual pleasures has been abandoned. Seeking of existence has been abandoned. Seeking of the holy life has settled. Okay, a monk or a true practitioner, a nun also, or to be a layperson, has given up running after sensual pleasures. Especially if this person is a deep meditator enjoying dhyanas, so he doesn't need physical sensual pleasures anymore. He's happy just as he is. He doesn't seek existence, he's not interested in being reborn here or there, he's just happy as it is. We say that a stream winner has got 7 more lives to go. The stream winner doesn't want these 7 lives. He just let it come, let it go, okay? To finish off the karma. Seeking the holy life has settled. In other words, this person, holy life refers to being a monk. He has done his tasks, his duties are all done. He has attained the goal of the spiritual life, of monkhood. no more seeking. Bhikshu, such a monk, is one who has completely given up seeking, no need to seek anymore. Or you can also call this person aseka, the non-student, no need to learn anymore, graduated already. And then the last kind of person. And how bhikshus is among one who has still the bodily formation or bodily activity. Here bhikshu, that's a comma here. Here bhikshus among with the abandoning of joy and abandoning of pain, and with the earlier disappearance of pleasure and displeasure, attains and dwells in the fourth dhyana, that is neither painful nor pleasant, and with mindfulness fully purified by equanimity. Now this is one interesting sutta where the teaching goes straight into the fourth jhana. In other words, this person has attained such a deep level that breathing stops. Breathing is a bodily activity. As the bodily activity stops. So that's the meaning, the bodily formation or bodily activity has stopped. The breath has stopped. But he's not dead. The breath, he doesn't need the breath anymore. So peaceful with himself. Because the body as we know it doesn't exist at that time, temporarily. Only the mind. So he has attained this very high level. Okay? Of course, these are things we can't really scientifically prove it, but if you're a meditator, you know this can happen. Bhikshu, such a monk, is one who has still bodily formation. Okay? In fact, you don't have to go that far. Even in your personal meditation, you find there comes a point as you sit very peacefully, your breath is so peaceful. You find your breath slows down. And there are points where there seems to be no breath. Right? So in the fourth jhana, this non-breathing extends itself, so to speak. And number 4, section 4. And how bhikshus is among one who is withdrawn. Here bhikshus, the I am conceit has been abandoned by that monk. I am here, idea of self. The arhat has totally given up any idea of selfhood, in other words. I, me, my. No more owning of the pain, no more owning of anything in that sense. Karma also, no more. Like the only thing we can really own is our karma. But for the arhats, no more new karma. Having cut them off at the root, there you are, at the root. So in other words, there's no more growing of this karma. Some of the past karma may come back, yes, but it doesn't trouble the arhat. They just let it happen, let it go. Made them like a palm tree stump, right? Palm tree stump. Palm tree, like coconut tree, you find once the coconut tree has fallen down, only the stump is left, it won't grow again. No shoots will come out from the stump. This is the nature of the palm tree. Done away with them so that they are not subject to further growth. No more arising of suffering. Bhikshu, such a monk, is one who is withdrawn. Bhikshus, a monk who has put aside personal truth, completely given up seeking, and still bodily formation, is called one who is withdrawn. Right, so now we have a good idea what is meant by someone who is withdrawn. Is definitely the arhat. So there you are. You see, the arhat is fully awakened. It doesn't need to be a Buddha anymore in that sense, because awakening, arhathood, and Buddhahood are the same thing. Because Buddha is not a person. Buddha is a state of awakening. When the arhat attains a state of awakening, it's the same state. It's like the fire. Fire has gone out. You put the fire out. Let's say there's a little fire. Fire has gone out, and there's a big fire. Big fire has gone out. Can you say, oh, this small fire has not been put out, because it must become a big fire first, then you put it out. It doesn't make sense, right? So that's why it's very wrong to say arhats must become Buddhas. A small fire has been put out. It's as good as putting out a big fire. You don't need to say, oh, this small fire is not really put out, it must become a big fire first, then you put it out, then only the fire has been really put out. And this is a beautiful analogy from the Vacchagotta Sutta. Then the whole sutta closes with 3 verses. Kamesana bhavesana brahmacharyesana saha iti satcha paramaso titithana samusaya. Now you notice these verses, they also appear in the Dhyana Sutta 2, isn't it? Alright? It's very similar, no? Verses 4, 5, 6. Alright? So I'll just read the English translation, because they're all the same. Seeking sense pleasures, seeking existence, along with seeking the holy life. The attachment to the idea, this is the truth, viewpoints of the body. For one who has rejected all loves, liberated with the destruction of influences, seekings have been forsaken, viewpoints uprooted. He is truly among at peace, mindful, faith-inspiring, invincible. Having broken through conceit, he is awakened. He is called withdrawn. And the sutta ends there. Okay, now let us close this study with a short reflection. Right. Once again, we have this wonderful opportunity to reflect on the Buddha's teaching, on the nature of letting go of thoughts and ideas, so that we are truly at peace with ourselves. As long as we have the suttas, we can feel this joy of letting go. It is a wonderful experience because we don't need any rituals, we don't need things, in a sense, we don't need to do anything. By learning to let go, to be at peace with ourselves progressively, gradually. Reflecting on this truth is a wonderful, good karma. By the power of such karma, may we be well and happy in this life itself, progressing in the Dharma, sharing the Dharma with others, bringing happiness to others too. By the power of such good karma and many others we are practicing, such as generosity, faith in the three jewels, practicing meditation, keeping the precepts and so on. By the power of all such good deeds, may we aspire to attain spiritual liberation, especially string winning in this life itself, and gain that goal. In this moment of peace too, let us send out our loving kindness to all the beings here, to all the people who have been kind and loving to us, supportive of us. Let us send our loving kindness to all our relatives and loved ones, to our friends, people we work with, people we meet, that they may all be well and happy. May even those whom the Dharma have not touched do see the Dharma one day, so that they too will be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.